Hey, it's Ted from Ted Liggins Fishing Life here on December 30th of 2022. Figured I'd sneak out on Orange Lake and do my top 5 baits of 2022 and followed up with my top 10 catches of 2022. Um, Today's actually been a good day. We've had super cold weather in the 20s every night. So today's like the first warmer day and it's been good so far. Hopefully I might even have to have an amendment to my top 10 catches depending on how the rest of the day goes. Yeah, like SB Fishing makes his top. Yeah, like SB Fishing made his top bass of 2022, and then he beat, and then he got a giant that should have been on the list. Got to make the list right at the end of the year. I was supposed to fish with him once, but he didn't find the boat ramp on Rodman. One day, me and SB Fishing will go fishing. So yeah, let's start at number 5. My number 5 most productive bait for big fish in 2022. That's what this list is for bigger fish and consistency, but mostly bigger fish. 6 Sense Flowglide with the Milliken modification. He didn't invent this modification. He just made a good video about doing it. You just widen this joint with a Dremel, put a little weight strips on it. I had this in my box for years. I had 2 of them. It was one of the first glide baits I ever bought. I caught my first glide bait fish on a bluegill pattern one of these. But the standard swim is really tight. It's not bad. It's just not a wide glider. I caught fish on with the tight glide, but making that modification makes this bait a lot more versatile. And this fall when I got onto a shad bite, this thing was always tied on. I threw it on my big crankbait rod, which is like a 13 fishing Fate 7.9 crankbait rod. It's an awesome rod with my old school Shimano Calcutta reel. Only thing else I changed is put some weight strips. I took the hooks that they put on off. They put really big, good hooks. I just needed hooks that wouldn't catch as much grass. So on a lot of my glide baits, I run the Owner ST56s. They're flat on the bottom, so they sit up tight. I explained this in my Baitsanity, Hookup Sanity tournament video. And then I run a Aaron Martin's G Finesse in the back. If they just touch this hook, they get caught. I've never had a problem bending them out. Throwing on the crankbait rod helps. It's a little softer than my swim bait rod. Not a very expensive bait. It's 30 bucks maybe. No, it's cheaper than that. It's like 20 bucks. I bought this years ago, like I said. But it took till this year for me to really open up with it. Flowglide by 6 Sense. Bait number 5 of 2022. A lot of glide baits in my list this year. Number 4 is almost a tie between the Baitsanity Explorer and the Sneaky Pete by G-Rat. I threw this a little bit more. I think that's why it won out. Only because this is a slower sink. It floats a little better. And I really started fishing my glide baits in cover like this. And if you know anything about glide bait fishing, once you get even a little bit of weed or grass or anything on the bait, it stops gliding. So these hooks this bait doesn't sink as fast. It's not as good in current, but it's okay in current. Had a great bite with Atypical Outdoors where 5-pounder blew up on it like a topwater. That was so much fun. But it is an affordable glide bait too. It's under 30 bucks. I think it's right at 30 bucks. Baitsanity, I just did a custom paint scheme for them, which came after I had already been a fan of this bait. Partially that's how they found me, is between the tournament and the fact that I tagged them in all the catches before they even did the tournament. Great company, really nice guys. Everyone says that, but it's true. They are really nice guys. This dark trout color has been awesome. Look out for my black metal mullet color that I'm painting for myself. that's coming soon. A lot of people have talked about the Antidote. It's a great beginning glide bait, and it's also a great glide bait if you want to fish in and around stuff that you might lose it, like all this stuff behind me. $30 is a lot, but it's not nearly as much as a lot of the other glide baits on the market. Great glide, awesome bait. Caught me some awesome fish this year. Actually caught me my first good swim bait fish of the year, which was bite of the day number 200 on Rainbow. Converted a bite. Great video. Awesome bait. Baitsanity, Antidote, Glide. That's number 4. So number 3 is not a glide bait. It is the Kinky Beaver by Reaction Innovations. This being Florida, punching is a way of life. This early part of this 2022, my punching, flipping, pitching bite on Noonan's was on fire. My first 8-pounder of the year came on this. A lot of 7s and 5s, and I never really stopped fishing it. In Florida, the punching bite starts in the winter, goes all through the spring, and really heats up in the summer when they're in the heavy cover. Still good in the fall, and then in the winter, the reason why it's good is because our bass also get back under the cover for the opposite reason that they do in the summer. It's warmer in the winter, cooler in the summer. But yeah, Kinky Beaver caught me my first 10-pounder, caught me several other 10-pounders since then. I run it on a EWG Berkeley Fusion 19 Superline hook 4/0 with a straight braid Palomar knot. I do not do the straight shank hook with the snell knot. I did a whole video on this, talked about it in one of my recaps, how I think the snell straight shank hook is great depending on your hook set. I know Matt Allen from Tactical Bassin is right there with me. Miles Burkhart from Sonar, from Sweetwater and MLF Tour, he also throws an EWG. There's a few of us, and like I said, I think it has a lot to do with the hook set. I didn't see an improvement with the Snell straight shank as far as hookup, the way I said hook, and I also hung up more, so I wasted more opportunities trying to pull the bait back out. So I just started running EWG full time. It's hooked me some of my biggest bass and landed them. I mean, fish get off, especially when you have that 1 ounce to 1.5 ounce, 1.25 ounce. Those are usually the weights I throw with this. Weight up front, they can shake their head and get it off. I think my second, the one that got away video, is heartbreaking, where I lose the teener that I had on this, but she came off underwater. I have no idea how she did it. But yes, Kinky Beaver. I mean, I will throw other baits, but the Kinky Beaver and this blue and green pumpkin swirl, I think it's called Magic Swirl or something, or the black, bluish and green pumpkin, which is Tramp Stamp. It's pretty much, I'd say, almost 90% of what I flip and punch. I mean, I do have other baits, like I said, but most of the time this does it for me. I don't know if it's just the right size and kick for Florida, but sure seems to do something right. So that's number 3, Kinky Beaver, Reaction Innovation. Number 2 is actually more than 2, is 3, for 4 versions of this bait I have. I have 2 right here. These are the 2 I consider to be the ones that count. Lucky Craft Gunfish, the 95 and the 115. I fish topwater all the time. Actually caught a 6-pounder this morning when it was 50-degree water, 40-degree air temp, bluebird sky. Not when you're supposed to throw topwater, but I just felt like I should, and boom, I got a good one. So that being said, this is probably my topwater, especially this year. I'd say Yuzuri's Popper last year was probably number 1. They're interchangeable, like I'll switch depending on what I think they want. action-wise. But that's what the kind of cool thing about Gunfish is, it kind of has a popper mouth. So it walks and kind of pops. And if you do a certain cadence, it kind of goes underwater, subsurface a little. It's just really different than a spook or a Sammy. I'd say a Sammy's up there in my top waters, other than like whopper ploppers and prop baits. It's an entirely different category. But these two baits, I mean, they got me so many big fish this year. I'd have to actually count them up, but 6-7 pounders on a top water. So the Gunfish, like I said, it comes in two other sizes: the 65, which is the smallest one, and then the 117, which is an entirely different body style. It's shaped more like the shower blows with a more like a bowling ball pin shape. And it has 3 hooks, which I don't usually want to throw 3 hooks because I'm usually fishing around cover like this. 2 good hooks is good enough for me, and it lets me pull the bait through cover. It's actually why I throw the 95 a lot more than the 115. Is it sits just a little higher on the water because it's lighter. The hooks are just a little thinner, and it just pulls through pads and weeds without me having to like reel it in and clear it. I can pop it off. Same with the Yozuri popper, but 95, 115, I couldn't pick one because the bass couldn't pick one. They were eating them all year long. Bait number 2 for 2022. Well, here we are at bait number 1, and it should be no surprise. It is the Baitsanity Explorer Gill. I mean, it won me $1,000, so it's kind of... Not only did it catch me more big fish than any bait, it caught me so many good fish. Partially because I was fishing the 3-month-long Hookup Sanity tournament that Baitsanity and the Hookup Tackle put on, and that's how I won $1,000. There are 2 versions. This is the sink. There's a float. I have both. I just don't have the float on me right now. If I had to pick one, I'd probably get the float and put some of the tungsten strips on it if I wanted to weigh it down. It's always easier to take the strips off and be able to fish it higher than to, be stuck with one that sinks. That said, the sinking one probably caught me the best fish of the tournament. It might have just been the color because I kept it in this dark gill. The floating one I got in jungle perch, which looks kind of like a tilapia spotted sunfish, worked very well as well. Amazing bait. It's got everything going for it. It's a glide bait. It's edible size, swiveled hook hangers, replaceable tails. It's the number 1 bait of 2022 for a reason. It caught me a bunch of big bass, made me $1,000, helped put me in contact with Baitsanity, which led to the custom paint job, which led to me doing the custom painted glide baits for charity. What did the hookup call it? Swim baits for good, or glide baits for good, something like that. Sold out real fast. Awesome project. I'm so glad I did it. But I'm also stoked that I bought this bait and I won the tournament, but it caught me so many good fish even aside from the tournament. I still have it tied on all the time. Bass love to eat bluegill, and this is like the perfect size. I'd say my next backup is the Gantrel, which last year was probably my number 1 glide bait or swim bait. But this one beat it this year. The Gantrel Jr. is unique because it's smaller, but that's just an honorable mention. Well, there it is, my top 5 baits of 2022, ending with a glide, started with a glide. I guess I'm turning into a glide bait fisherman or swim bait fisherman. Although this is Florida, there's always frogging and punching and topwater, all that stuff. Well, I hope you like the list. Check out these baits. They're all awesome. I can't obviously say enough because I caught so many. I'll let the fish catches speak for me. How's that? And that'll be our transition. The next video is going to be the top 10 bass of 2022. Some of these baits are going to make an appearance again. Thanks for checking out my top 5 baits of 2022. Next up is the top 10 fish of 2022. I'm Ted from Ted Lickens Fishing Line.
Ted Lincoln won our Baitsanity Explorer Gill event, right? So the dude knows Baitsanity baits,